It's time to dad.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Time to Dad. Thanks for joining us tonight, hanging out with us for a little bit. So we're back. I promised you guys we were going to do it last month, but real life happened and we were having some trouble recording episodes. But we are finally circling back on another specialist episode tonight. So thank you guys for joining us. Listen up, we got some good information for you. But Joe and I are here tonight with Ryan from Woody's Exterminating. We know pest problems are constantly on Dad's minds, and so we wanted to bring Ryan in and hopefully share some good information with you guys, some food for thought for things around your own home. But Ryan, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. Do you want to give? Yeah, man. Do you want to give listeners a little brief bio and background and what you do?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for having me on the show. So my name is Ryan. I own Woody's Exterminating in Long Island, New York. I've been in business for over a decade now. 13 years in. I started as a one-man team back in the day, just myself going out there knocking on doors. And then fast forward 13 years later, like I have a team of 10. We're growing. And it's pretty incredible to see when you put a lot of hard work into it and watch it grow over time. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a lot of grind plus time to get here.
Nice. Well, awesome. Thanks for joining us, dude. We appreciate it. And I guess without further ado, we can roll into the questions. And I feel like this is a big one for a lot of dads out there. You know, especially with the economy the way it is, we're trying to save money. We're trying to, do what we can to keep money in the bank account. What would you say? What's the main benefit of going with like a Woody's Exterminating versus going into Home Depot and just grabbing some ant killer or roach killer or whatever?
Sure. It's a really good question, actually. I feel like a lot of people struggle when it comes to it, trying to compare to do it your own versus the actually having a professional. I mean, I think there's a lot of, even as a pest control professional, there's a lot of benefits to both ways. If we looked on, like you said, finances are a big part of it, especially families, dads that have kids. I mean, everything's expensive. I mean, they're not the only pests we have, not just the kids, we have the other bugs, But, when it comes to doing it yourself, what's nice about it is a cheaper option. It's more affordable. It's good for like a smaller issue if you're able to assess it correctly. It's quick. You can run to the store, you can pick it up. You don't have to call someone, you have to schedule an appointment. So it definitely has its benefits as far as that aspect goes. But when you look at the downsides of do it your own, I mean, a lot of people just would pick something off the shelf that, let's just say, roach killer or just an ant killer, ant gel, or a spray for the outside of your house. And the problem is, I mean, when it comes to pest control, label is the law. So following the correct wording on the label, being able to read it correctly, applying the pesticides correctly. I mean, it may look very simple or just like easy to do because you get off the shelf and use it, but someone that I have two girls, I have a 5-year-old and 4-year-old girls, but someone that would take a chemical off a shelf in a store that doesn't know anything about it, more than likely will just pick it up, misuse it, and then before you know, I mean, whether without using the proper protection equipment, or just applying it, wrong, it can be harmful to you. You might not be able to treat the pest correctly because every pest has a different kind of way to eliminate them, different way.
There's so many things, right?
Just so many different things about them, from the way they eat, the way they move, the nocturnal during the day, like what they actually eat, where do they go, where do they harbor? There's so many different things about it. And, it's nice. You walk in the store, you say, hey, roach, and I'll just use it. But sometimes that small can at the store might be the wrong plan of action. It may be good for just the now, like the quick Band-Aid, but it's not really going to solve the issue in the end, And I think a lot of times when, I understand the finance aspect of it, the quick aspect, but when you take your time and you call a professional and someone who really knows what he's doing, I mean, the cost is more, there's no doubt. You're paying for a premium service, especially when you come to a professional. We have schooling behind us. We have years and years of experience. I mean, I have I've been in business for 13 years now. I worked with another company for 5.5 years, learned the trade beforehand. And I've learned more in the 13 years than I've ever learned working for someone else. But I just have so much experience that I've seen, that I've applied, that I've read, classes I went to, seminars I went to. I've learned from doing things incorrectly and learning how to reading labels and doing everything correctly. So when you use a professional, I feel the biggest thing you're getting an expert opinion, someone who's seen it, someone who's done it. And especially what's nice about these days is like the phone is in everyone's hand, so go through the reviews, try to make sure they have hundreds of reviews, try to see which ones are not repeatable and really check out their background, see what they offer. And then the thing is, the good thing about having professionals, they'll know how to treat it the right way. And just because they have access to all these other chemicals doesn't mean you need to spray them all either. The biggest thing is, using like an IPM, integrated pest management, finding ways. And what we try to do is we try to find ways, the least amount of chemical we can use to reduce the pest and eliminate it. We want to use that option first and use pesticides as a secondary option, which is a lot safer for, families, a lot safer for the kids. It's safer for the pets because we actually know how to apply the chemicals in the right cracks and crevices, or we can find different exclusion methods to keep out all kinds of pests, rodents. It's just safer overall, and just that we have that eye after being in the business for so long, at least I do by now, but even other pest control professionals, they've seen it, they've done it. That's pretty much why I think really going to a professional is the right way to go. Like they're going to be able to solve the issue and give you the correct plan that's able to keep like a longer lasting protection for your home.
Yeah, I feel like a big part of your cost, I'm sure, is paying. It's like going to a good mechanic, right? It's part of that cost is because they're paying for your experience, your skill, your knowledge, your know-how.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it always comes. I mean, that's a lot of professions, but like I know I used Ryan on a personal basis, and I tell everybody it was like. I don't know, we had rats like running around because they took out buildings like that was like down the street from us. So all the animals and stuff started coming into like the neighborhood, and the neighbor had rats, and then all of a sudden I remember I called Ryan and he was like there like 7 o'clock in the morning because I was getting ready to board a plane. My wife was freaking out. But right then it was like, it's not just my yard. It's like I could have went out there and DIY'd it and killed a rat with a shovel. But then there was rats under my neighbor's shed. There was tunnels in my other neighbor's house, right? So then it was like across the street. So it's like I could have done whatever possible in mine, but I wouldn't have known to go elsewhere and check and do, or even where to check. There's no sewer in my backyard. I don't know. That's all I know about a rat.
Yeah. And that's a big difference too. It's like we've been through it, we've seen it, being able to take action with multiple neighbors and come up with an actual, like a town plan of how we're going to, really eliminate the rats from the neighborhood, which makes it safer for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So this is kind of along the lines of DIY, but what are the most common pest problems you're seeing, and what are some things some people might be doing wrong before calling you?
We could probably take the most obvious one. I would say, especially right now, we're in April, and it's pretty much ant season right now. I'm sure they're coming into all your kitchens, your bathrooms. All of us dads have a kid that knocks over juice. Before you know it, there's ants all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think if you take it along the lines of for example, like a do your own service, right? You go there, you go into the sink, you'll grab a can of Raid, you'll spray the ants directly. That's, for the most part, that is the wrong way of handling it. The reason why is because ants are a social insect, and the way we want to handle it is we want to use non-repellents. We also want to use a baiting method. It's just due to like the way the ants eat, the way they socialize, the way they harbor. They're constantly rubbing against each other. It's also the way they eat. They eat their way of trophallaxis. So it's kind of, as they rub against each other, they eat. It's kind of gross, but they eat from mouth to ass, or it's kind of gross, but like when they exchange liquids with each other. So there's certain, ways you want to treat them. We all have them. So when you take that Raid can, you spray right away. label on the label itself, but even the chemical when it lands in it, it's a repellent, and you don't want it, especially with ants. They come by the hundreds. You don't want to just deter them in different directions. If you spray a repellent, they're just going to go in different directions. They'll find different food sources. But as a professional, we have the access to the right chemicals, the non-repellents, the one that's not going to kill them right away, to give them enough time to walk through a barrier, get the chemical on them, socialize with the rest of the colony, spread the chemical out, and start eliminating that way. So I feel like that is one of the biggest issues we have when it comes to, especially this time of year, ants coming out, is just trying to take the first anything you can and spray it. And you really don't want to kill the ants. Even this is a do it your own, but even like I'm sure we all seen those clear Terra baits at Home Depot, right? Those clear ones.
I got one of those in the house right now.
Yeah.
They're very effective, and that's a bait. So what you're doing with that thing is you want the ant to find its way, because when ants find the way to the food, they leave a pheromone trail. That's why a lot of times you'll see a line going back and forth. Exactly, it's always usually a straight line where they're going back and forth. So they know it's safe to get to the food. They bring it back to the colony. They're going to share it. It's like if you put the food out and then you spray the food, it's contaminated. They're not going to even go near it. Or, for example, if you just kill the ants because you see them running, the goal is for them to take that bait back to the colony. So if you put baits like that out, let the ants out. Don't kill them. Don't worry about where they're going. They're going to go to the bait. As soon as you see them attack the bait, let it happen. Don't kill them. Don't spray them. Don't swat them. Don't step on them. Just let it. Nature takes its course. Let it take its bait, and it's doing the right thing. And a lot of times, as dads, we see the ants all over the house, and it's like you just want to kill them, but it takes time. You got to give it the 2 weeks after you put the baits out. It's not a simple fix. Especially when it comes to pests, and that's one of the biggest ones I feel like with ants. You just got to if you're willing to do something yourself as a professional, you need to allow the right time to eliminate them.
Yeah. So that's a big one now. Like obviously, like you said, like April, but there's like different kinds of ants, right?
Sure.
Right. So like are those little ants? Like, do they cause big issues or problems? Is it more the bigger ants or different type? I mean, every state probably has different ants too. Like we're in Long Island, New York. I think we just have like the little tiny ones, the black. I mean, you would know more, right? The black ones, because we used to play with them as a kid, and those type of things.
Yeah. So the ones you're discussing now, the little ones, not as much. The pavement ants, the odorous house ant, not as much. When you go into the big black ones, the carpenter ant, that is a problem, because those guys are wood destroying insects. Okay. Not that they eat the wood, but they will tunnel. They will make nests inside wood. You'll see it in foundations of homes. You'll see it in tree trunks outside. You'll see it in like windowsills. Anywhere there's like moist, dried out wood, a lot of times that's where they're going to be. They're going to be nesting, and you need special treatments to be able to eliminate them. It's just be able to find them. A lot of times, just because you look like a nest on your house somewhere, it may just only be a satellite nest. I'm just going back to why a professional is the way to go. They'll be able to inspect. It may not be on your home. It may be in a tree 20 feet away where the mother nest is, and they start and the ants travel to a satellite nest somewhere on your house.
How would like a dad
know,
like, all right, hey, I see a few black ants, like big black ants, but like, all right, now you said infestation, right? Like they tunnel through, like, when do they know, like, oh crap, I need to get this handled like today, tomorrow?
It's a great question. Usually by the time you see one, there's an issue. It's out there, it's foraging, it's looking for food. A lot of times when you see one black carpenter ant, there's going to be a nest nearby. They'll travel, they will, like I was just saying, they forage, but like when you see them, there's an issue. At that moment, as a dad, I would try to, if I'm not going first option to call a professional, I would try to look around the house and try to find the areas where maybe there's moisture, maybe water's leaking, maybe some kind of wood was wet at some point, now it's dried out. It could be like a wooden pole in front of your house that holds up your house. It could be on the roof. It could be a garage door where it's just the wood part of it. It's just rotted out. Water damage got to it. It's drying out. It could be an old deck behind your house. It could be the windowsill. It could be a tree that's just old and breaking down. It could be a dead tree in your yard, one of those butts in the middle of the trees. And I would try. Honestly, what I would do is, if I saw the black ant, I would follow it. I would take 5 minutes and literally just watch the ant. it's going to tell you where the nest is. It's going to, you just follow the whole time. It's either going to walk to their food or walk back to the nest. Yeah, so that's another. It's an indication. You take a couple of minutes and watch it instead of stepping on it. It'll tell you what you need.
So go outside with a cup of coffee and let's watch ants. I like it.
Can you guys hear this hellacious storm in the background of my mic? I hope it's not picking it up.
No,
we don't hear that.
Okay, good. This sounds like a friggin' monsoon out here in my workshop, man. Just want to check.
That's because you were talking about that before you only got 4 inches.
Well, it's because I was thinking about asking him if it was like the spring rains that are what's driving the ants into houses, driving them out of the ground, or what makes spring ant season, I guess.
It's a great question. Definitely a combination of things. So, like you said, April showers. A lot of times when the water comes, you're flooding out the ground. The ants are coming up. That's one. Once the weather starts breaking over that 60 degrees, ants are out. They think it's springtime, which it is springtime. Even though we have some, breakouts earlier in a few colder months, but by the time April comes, the weather's breaking, the water's bringing them out. That's it. They're looking to colonize. It's like the perfect combination. That 60 to 70 degree weather with all the water and the moisture.
Sweet.
Right. Would you say there's like things that, right, like people do wrong? Like, for example, like you talk about moisture, like, so for example, like, right, I have a shed in my backyard.
Sure.
And there's a bunch of crap behind the shed, right? And then that holds moisture. We had a tarp on top of it because I had firewood, right? Like things like that. Like, are those things that like cause, hey, you're more likely going to get pests when you do certain things like that? Like, what are a few things that like, I guess dads should be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't leave this crap there, or I shouldn't do this, so you can eliminate a little bit of it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What I would say is to try to prepare your house to make sure to have less pests is you want to keep a well manicured yard. You want to mow it if you have grass, you want to mow it on a consistent basis. When it comes to firewood, like you said, you really don't want to leave piles of firewood. That's
Nick's favorite thing, by the way. He loves to mow the lawn.
I love mowing the lawn.
Yeah, it's like a therapeutic thing for him.
You get the lines?
I do. Yeah.
There's nothing better.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's a labor of love.
Might have less pests.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But the firewood around the house, that's one thing. You don't want to leave it against the house. It just creates so many harboring areas for so many pests. Between the wood, when the water comes, it traps the water. Before you know it, it's going to bring the spiders. It's going to bring the ants. It's going to possibility bring the termites. There's just, you want to leave as much clutter away from the house. So, for example, we have a deck. You want to blow the leaves out from under it on a regular basis, because otherwise the deck's going to pretty much cover it. Any water gets through the deck holes, through the cracks and crevices. You'll retain the water. Maybe it won't evaporate as quick. You'll keep damp leaves there, so you're going to create so many different harboring areas for pests. So that's one way I would get rid of that on a regular basis. Another thing is your garbage cans. Making sure if you have lids, close them at the end of the night. You want to make sure the garbage is thrown in the garbage. Instead of them being right against your house, maybe move them to a different section, maybe 10, 15 feet away from your house when you throw the garbage out in a different side of the yard would definitely help. If you have exposed garbage, that can also be a leading factor to rodents like mice or rats, or sometimes even, raccoon. I'm sure we all had a raccoon in our garbage at times. So pretty much well manicured, keep it landscaped, mow the yard. You don't want to have another one. You don't want to have, like, touching on a different kind of pests, for example, because we have April right now, April and May coming. It's the beginning of mosquitoes. You don't want to have stagnant water. So anyone that has either kayak in the yard, flower pots that are not even useful for plants, just anything that can trap water, you don't want to be having stagnant water on your property, because that's a breeding site for any pest, and especially stagnant water is a breeding site when it comes to mosquitoes. So you don't want to give pests any more reasons to be on your property.
Yeah.
Keeping it dry and manicured is pretty much the way to go. If you have a long, brushy yard, the season's here right now too. Ticks is another one. And you think like you want to keep low grass, because what happens is ticks, even if you don't, the way they can get into your yard for example, like we have deer here in Long Island, so deer can carry ticks, raccoons can carry ticks, you have squirrels can carry ticks, all kinds of rodents, mice can carry ticks. and sometimes they'll drop more from your yard as they're going through. But when you have that lawn, that brush that's up a couple feet high, that's where the ticks are going to hang, towards the exterior perimeter, maybe on the flowers or the branches. When you're near it, they'll just drop on you, and that's all it takes. So that's why if you eliminate that, you're definitely going to reduce the big part of having pests in and around your house.
Go ahead, Nick.
No, you go.
All right, I was gonna say, so going to like the mosquitoes, right? Because
Sure.
I know we got to get that on the calendar. We talked about that. There's different types of sprays,
Yes.
right, for mosquitoes. How often do you have to do it? And then like, what are the different types, and like, what are, I guess, the benefits of different types?
Sure. There's mainly two different types that us in our company that we offer the customer. We offer all natural sprays, which is a 25B product, it's natural. It's a natural product.
What's 25B?
It's for us. So we have to report all of our chemicals. So if we do anything like a synthetic, we have to report everything to the DEC, and we have to make sure everything is completely legitimized. We have to do neighbor notifications. So for example, let's say you're a neighbor of Nick's and I'm spraying your house. I have to, if I'm using synthetic, I have to let him know and every other surrounding neighbor around you know that these are the dates ahead of time that we're spraying.
I already told my one neighbor, so I was trying to save you a trip. So,
but we got to mail them just to keep everyone safe, But with those naturals,
is that a New York thing?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because I know I've had neighbors around here that have gotten sprayed, and I don't think anybody's ever told us.
I'll tell you what, I can show you in a second. I have a huge box.
Just is like a door knocker you drop off or something.
I want to show you this. I can find it.
That's interesting. So now I can't hide it from my wife if she talks to my neighbors because I didn't want to use the natural stuff. Wait, right? So like, when you come, like you have to tell like my side neighbors and across the street too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have to tell them not to tell Amanda.
Exactly.
You're screwed now, buddy.
It's just for the legality aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the box is. I literally picked up
the
box.
But then he's gonna do such a good job. Your neighbors are gonna want him to do it. He could tell you, I guess. He could tell you, not your wife.
Across the street, and that's the good thing, right? And right. I mean, you said you started your career door knocking, right? So I mean, you get one, and then everybody else, and we all had rats at one point. So
yeah, I mean, it has its plus and minuses. A lot of times we'll send a neighbor notification out, and they'll call us with a million questions. I'm like, we're too busy. We need to get to the next thing.
Yeah.
Or some of them would be like, hey, you service Joey. What would my house cost? And the more houses that do a mosquito treatment together helps. You create more of a barrier, more of a treatment around it. But even like the all natural product, it's not synthetic. It's not a synthetic pyrethroid. You're using different kind of like cedar oils. You're using different kind of more of like repellents, to keep the mosquitoes away. They do attack ticks. I'm not the most familiar, to be honest with you, when it comes to all natural. We do treat it, but we do a lot more synthetic, more than anything.
Would you say it's just better? Like it just works better? We
tried a season of all natural, and then we've been synthetic ever since, unless the customer really requests all natural, and we want to keep it as safe as possible for them. We make sure that we offer it as well. Some parents are just, you want to make sure you don't deal with the chemicals. I get it. We all have kids. So at the end of the day, like if they feel like it's safer to them, we're going to treat it with them. The frequency of sprays may be more often. So a lot of times it's all natural. We would recommend spraying every 2 weeks as opposed to synthetic. We would spray every 21 days, about 3 weeks, because the chemical is going to break down from either the weather. It's going to break down from the sun. So,
is all natural more expensive also because it's right, or is that kind of around the same?
I think it depends on the chemical. Some synthetics are more expensive, some all naturals are expensive, but for the most part, it probably averages out to close to the same. Depending on which ones we really want to go after, how we want to attack it. Mosquitoes can fly up to 3,000 feet away just to whatever, or a couple thousand. Whatever. I don't know the exact number, but like they can 3 miles away, they can fly. That's right.
Yes, okay.
3 miles. That's right. But they can. It's a long time to fly. So it's hard to like detect 1 yard where they can fly from all these different areas. So we just have more success when it comes to synthetic. Plus we can also mix different like growth regulators in it, which can attack different stages of the mosquito. Either we do or adulticides, which mainly just attack the adult mosquito. So we try to find the best combination that works best, especially the area that we're in and the elements that we're treating against. And we've had a lot more success when it comes to synthetic.
Okay.
So I would recommend synthetic. I do it in my own personal house now, but I would recommend.
Yeah, I think that's what we did last time.
And the biggest thing is, as far as like when we do spray, we do want to make sure there's plenty of time before like people re-enter. Dogs, you want to make sure the windows are closed. So that's always part of our safety program. Windows are closed. You want to make sure pets are inside, people are inside, kids are inside. And you want to give it the proper amount of time to dry. It always depends on how warm it is. A lot of times you can spray, it can be dry in 5 minutes, but we always want to make sure, give it the 45 minutes to an hour. Just be safe. Let the chemical dry. Once it's dry, as per label, it'll say, it's okay to enter afterwards. Once chemical is dry, you're okay to go out.
Okay.
But everything we do, label is the law.
Especially in New York.
Especially in New York.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about some more of the, I guess, annoying pests. I mean, obviously mosquitoes carry Zika virus, which isn't good. What are there pests out there that maybe dads may not be aware of that are, capable of real damage or really a risk to their health that people are underestimating?
Yeah, can I ask you guys a question? What do you guys think what guys do you think, which pest does the most amount of damage to a home a year worldwide? What's the number one pest?
To a home.
Yeah.
I just know what happened to mine. I don't know if that's the right answer, but
you can guess it if you like.
It was a squirrel.
Damage. It's gotta be a termite or a carpenter ant.
So those are good guesses. The number one is mice, the rodent.
Damage.
Okay.
It does over $20 billion worth of damage a year in a home. I got that from the last seminar I was at. So unless it's rose in the last 6 months, I mean, it's incredible. I mean,
so what are they doing besides like eating your food and shit? I guess what are they destroying?
So you got mice and you got rats, right? Mice is number one, rats are number two, termites, I believe, are number three. But obviously depend on region with the termites. But when it comes to mice and rats, right? So they carry diseases. They can carry the hantavirus, is the big one. I'm sure everyone's heard of Gene Hackman's wife that passed away from it, which was sad. But not only do they just eat your food, right? So they leave, I don't know the exact amount, a lot of urine every single day. Mice can leave between 50 and 75 droppings a day. The germination period is only 21 days. That's it. They can have 4 to 7 in a litter.
Wow.
And the same day
not know that.
the same day they have babies, they can get pregnant again. So they just multiply so fast, and the numbers just get in such abundance. And not only do they just chew the food, the droppings, they're constantly gnawing, and they're chewing electrical wires, inside the house. They want something that's warm. They're going to be in the stove. They're going to be behind your dishwasher. They're going to be under your sink. But when they're chewing your dishwasher, and you don't notice it. Next thing you know, you're leaking water behind the dishwasher and it goes to the floor downstairs. That is a huge problem. That's one. Even like mice and rats, they can also create fires in homes. You're chewing those electrical wires in the house. I mean, you can cause a spark, especially up by insulation. The whole house will go up.
Yeah.
And you would least expect it. You're never going to think it, but like you want to be preventive towards mice and rats. That's one of the biggest ones you can really. It's one of those silent killers. Just you think it's like a termite, termites a huge issue, but besides that, they really damage your home. But when you have other pests, mice and rats are. You want to make sure.
What's a good preventative to keep mice out? Like what's something?
Yeah. Inspection is always the number one thing. As for a dad, you want to look around the outside of the home. You want to take a couple of minutes, really walk around the outside, see if there's any holes, see if you can see any daylight going into your house. A lot of times, like the conduit lines that go from the AC units in the house, a lot of times the electrician will make a hole like this big, and you got tank going through like this, and you can see everything around it. that needs to be sealed, and not with that foam. You don't want to use like the foam that you get from Home Depot. We use more of like, we use a lot of different materials, but even for like a basic, if you want to do it yourself, it could be like steel wool would work, silicone would work, which is fine. You want to make sure there's no openings going from the outside to the inside of your house. Us for the homeowners, the ones that have like garage doors. So on the bottom cracks of the garage doors, like the outer of it, not just the bottom rubber piece. If it's a hole in it or chewed through, you can see bite marks usually. It has to get replaced. But besides that, on the sides of it, which you don't even realize it, if you go down like on your hands and knees and try to look, sometimes you can see right into your garage. And that needs to get sealed, even underneath, So those are other issues. If you have Bilco doors, there could be cracks in the Bilco doors. Maybe it didn't settle right. But a mouse only needs the size of a penny to enter a structure, and a rat only needs the size of a quarter. That's it. So that's why you want to make sure that, I would recommend a pest professional, especially anytime it comes to pests or rodents, just to really see. I mean, this is not something you want to deal with because you can get very sick, and you're dealing with, and then once it's turning into a premium service, it becomes expensive when you start having mice and rats inside the homes, and then after that, you need ongoing pest control plans. So it's just the dollar amount's going to add up. I mean, it's going to be better for you in the long run, but you can help you prevent it by just doing an inspection, or even as a homeowner, just calling a professional. Hey, can you inspect, see how the outside of my house is? Whether you go with it or not, it's good to gain the knowledge that they're going to give you. I would recommend a pest plan regardless.
I was just going to ask that. So like a pest plan, that's like a maintenance
thing. Yep.
Right. And that kind of makes sense because I think it's kind of like, right, I work in, obviously everybody that listens knows I work in finance, and we deal with life insurance a lot of times, and you hope you don't have to use it, right? But you pay a monthly cost for it because if something does happen, then your family's screwed, right? And it's almost like the same thing. It's, hey, you hope you don't have to use it, but if the mice get in your house, now it's thousands of dollars or potentially, right? It's a bigger cost if something happens.
Definitely. And I think but the good thing about it, like, not comparing it to life insurance, but when it comes to even like a pest plan, like, you use it all year round. That's the good thing about it. Like, someone is always there, like, if you need it, you call it with most pest plans, a lot of them are the same. Maybe the way we structure it, how we do our service is completely different. How we use the chemicals are different. How everyone uses the inspections are different, but you find the right company, you find someone that works for you. It's all in the inspection. The inspection is the most important part of the whole service. The pest professional will be able to see what you find. There's holes around here, I can seal them up for you. Putting rodent bait stations in place. But a lot of times a good thing, like Nick, I know we spoke earlier about it, but rodent bait stations, they have keys, and you lock the stations, so you can't just go and rip it open. You can't reach inside of it. Your kid can't reach inside of it. Your dog can't chew through it. They're very well protected. They've been tested for years. They secure, poison inside of it, which is targeting mice and rats. You're not targeting birds or squirrels or anything else out there. Mm-hmm. So you're targeting the actual pest that the chemical is designed to go after, and you're keeping your house just a safer environment, than having all these pests invade it, and start making that into their home.
Yeah. That's important. I like that.
And like I was saying, the all year round thing, like most of us we come quarterly a lot of times. I don't know what other companies do, but I'll tell you what we do. So Joe, you live in Long Island. So we do our initial service. Normally we come to your house to do a full inspection. Let's say you want to go with our pest plan. I'm going to say, hey Joe, so our pest control plan is a quarterly residential service agreement. We offer 42 types of pests. So it's 42. It's mice. The categories are mice. It's rodents, stinging insects, and it's general crawling insects. So you have a large variety of pests. So they have all your ants, your carpenter ants, your crickets, your clover mites, your centipedes. You have all those kind of general crawling. You got pantry moths in there. You have all kinds of bees, yellow jackets, bolt-faced hornets, honeybees. We do not touch. They're endangered. We don't touch them at all. When it comes to like mice and rats, but there's just so many different, like I have a list of, I'm not going to name 42 of them, but there's just a lot of them inside of it. So the way it works is we want to come to the house, inspect it first. Then we're going to seal up the outside of the house, do a basic exclusion, which is very important, keeping rodents out, which also will help with pests. It's not pest proof, but it's definitely going to help with the rodents. The stations are on the outside, knocking down the spider webs with the dewebber on the exterior. Then we spray, depending on the season, a lot of times from April all the way to the end of October, we'll spray the exterior on a quarterly basis with a non-repellent. We want the pest to run through the barrier, get the chemical on them, and start attacking them that way. So, and after that, we'll put a granular, whether it's a bait, depending on the season, for different pests like ants and crickets. A lot of times we're going to focus on the ants and crickets at the earlier in the season, the April, May, and June. We want to focus on the ants, let them bring the bait back. Then we'll switch it over to like an insecticide later in the season. When the outdoor fleas start coming in, when other different pests, crickets, fleas start coming. Then
those damn cave crickets are the worst.
Yeah, those guys that you're going to see them pretty much all year round, but a lot of times.
Are you talking about the camel cricket? Well, we call them camel cricket. The little blind things that ping pong off everything in the house.
Like 3 feet.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Hate those things.
They are freaky looking, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's like
like
it looks like a booger with legs.
I don't know where they came from, but they're pretty.
Dude, it's
when I'm crawling under houses, you got like hundreds of these things all over me.
No, man.
Just close your eyes and crawl.
Joe, that's the one question we didn't have in here. It's funny you just said that. So, like, you have to have some sort of like mental block to be able to get in these crawl spaces with all the freaky shit that lives in a crawl space.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're going to find.
Yeah.
Joe texted me this morning, and you guys can see it. That's
under house, man. I'll call you back.
Yeah, exactly. I was under the house. I sent the picture. I'm squeezed in there. I'm like this. There's literally like rat feces all under me. There's crickets all over the wall. There's insulation ripped down. I'm like, I still got to answer Joe's text. So.
I hate it. My old house had a. It was just a dungeon of a crawl space, man. And I hated going under there to do anything. Anything that moved, I was like, the fuck is that?
It's funny because you need that mental block. It's tough, It's like there's one pest that freaks me out every single time, but spiders. I don't know about you guys, but I can't do the spiders.
It depends on the spider, man.
That's my wife.
I got bit by. I think it was a brown recluse. All the research I did, it like bubbled up like a brown recluse bite, and since that thing got me in these bushes in my backyard,
you can jump buildings, can't you,
dude? It was painful, but I didn't even know I was bit. Like it didn't really start showing like I was bit for probably till 2-3 days after. Was when it really started showing signs and I could see where like the little 2 fang marks. I didn't used to mind spiders, but after that I was like, hell no, keep them away from me.
When you walk through enough webs, you don't know what a spider is. That's the freakiest part.
That's a no-go.
You still get me to this day.
We do a lot of hiking and I'm taller than my wife and my son, so they can go right through and be perfectly fine, and here I come walking behind him down the trail and I spider web right to the damn face. No.
You guys have bears by you or no?
We get them occasionally, and we get black bears. My mom, she lives on like almost an acre and a half down the street, and she lives on a huge main power line where all the high voltage towers are, and so the bears and we get fox and wolf too. They follow that power line up from the James River, and they just follow it because there's not a lot of traffic. It's pretty much cleared by the power company, so it's basically their little highway to go wherever they want. And so she gets a lot of visitors. But I've seen deer around our house, but I haven't seen any bears right around here. So, but I think that's a good segue to the next question. Is I'm curious what your most intense or crazy house call was.
Definitely have a few of them, that's for sure. I probably have to think about this one. I guess it goes by the pest, right? There's definitely. I've been in a house filled with bed bugs. I've been trapped in a basement crawl space with a mother raccoon and babies. That was pretty scary. not realizing they were down there.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah, Mother Raccoon's going to do whatever she needs to, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was a freaky one. I've been covered in roaches. I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. I've been in one of the craziest ones actually this past year was I went to a hoarding house, and this thing was from ground to the ceiling, just stuff, in the incredible amount of stuff. And
like that TV show.
as you're walking in, you see piles move, like shaking. Like, what is that? You're looking, and then you look down, like you think like a shower just ran across, and it's like these giant rats that just run back and forth.
Oh man!
And then one of my guys like freaks out. Something ran at me, he kicked it. This rat comes flying, bounces off of me. He kicked the rat, and he like field goal the rat into me. So it's kind of.
That's why I could not work in that field. I'd be out after day one, man.
That's bad. Dealing with bees, actually, I have a good bee story. This is probably right in the beginning, the first time I ever started to really get off. I would say in the first like couple of months of being on my own, really starting it. I didn't really, he's trying to learn the ways how to do it. But I remember like I was in an attic, and I was in someone's house, some attic inspecting. I think I hear some noise somewhere. I'm like moving insulation. Before I know it, there was a full-blown giant yellow jacket's nest.
Oh.
And the way down was maybe like 15 feet from me. And these bees were already coming at me. So I didn't really have much of a choice. So, in the attic, when you got the two beams and you got like the sheetrock, I jumped up.
Jumped down?
Right in between, right through the sheetrock. These bees were attacking me. It was insane. It was just like this guy had a giant hole in his ceiling. But I was getting killed with bees. I was getting stung trying to get it. It was miserable. Oh my God. I thought I almost lost the business like day one.
Oh my God.
Just go in the attic right through. I was there to like look for like a squirrel or something like that. And like before you know it, I'm moving stuff around because I saw like droppings. Then all here is oh shit, I couldn't, and when you're running on beams, you want to destroy everything. So that job cost me a lot to just jump through the guy's ceiling.
Is he a repeat customer at least? Did he at least return the favor?
We still laugh about it this day.
Okay, that's
Remember
good.
that time you came through my ceiling?
Yeah.
That would be great if you just kept the hole of just your body shape.
He just frames it, puts a piece of plexiglass over it.
Yeah. This here was Ryan.
It's funny because the longer you're in business, you start seeing things where things don't start to surprise you anymore. Yeah. And one of my employees, literally, I think it was 2 years ago, and he calls me up. He's like, I made a mistake. I guess I never got to teach him where to step and when not to step in an attic. This guy went through he was in the bathroom. He went through the whole attic, right through it. The whole thing was destroyed. It was like, he's in there looking for a bee's nest, like suited up. But I guess he didn't know you're not supposed to step you're supposed to step on the other 2x4s. He went right, this whole thing was destroyed. It's incredible. It's funny. But, you start getting all these other calls from all your technicians now. So it's a whole different world.
Nice.
I'm sure.
Let's see. We're getting close to the time limit, but I want to get a couple more in. So as you kind of touched on it earlier with talking about, the different ways you can take care of different pests or whatever. But it seems like now everybody's all about reading labels. Everybody's about trying to use all natural products. How can dads kind of balance, keeping their home pest free, but also, making sure they're using the safest treatments that aren't going to harm them or their family?
Yeah. I mean, if you're worried about the health risks of it, I would highly recommend using a professional because they're going to apply the right amount of chemicals. That's the first route I would take, is using a professional. Put the accountability on them and let them be fully responsible. That's what they're there for. That's what the knowledge is for. That's what the licensing is for. And hopefully you have a really strong technician with a strong mind that's understanding of your needs and understanding that you want to keep your family safe and make sure they're not over applying, not under applying, making sure it's the right fit for you. And I think that is what I would do first. If you don't want to take that route, I would recommend, like we touched up earlier, you want to make sure that the house is clean. the outside of the house. I'm talking about to help pests off the lawn, the landscaping, making sure just mowing correctly, grass a certain amount of height, make sure there's no stagnant water, no firewood against the house, keep your yard clean. We're all busy. We've got a lot of stuff going on, but at the end of the day, like you look at a lot of people's garages, there's just stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. It's like it's easy for us to take something, throw it in. You got all these kids' toys. But being a little more organized definitely helps because it also gives you the opportunity to be a little more visual and be like, how did they get there? And maybe you might see a mouse dropping. Maybe you might see a different pest that you haven't noticed just by things being more well kept, in an area.
Yeah.
And, you leave in less harboring areas, less shade, less dark areas, less areas where it can trap moisture, trap water. Like you don't want to leave bird seed on the floor in the garage. If you're going to have bird seed and feed the birds, you really don't want to regardless, because if you have rodents, they will find a way to bring that into the house. But you want to keep foods like that, dog food, you want to keep it sealed. You don't want dog food open in the house. When it comes to bird seed, you want to make sure that's sealed as well. Like you just want to have a mental state, just like a mental awareness of just a lot of different things can lead to pests, whether they're breeding out of there, whether they're taking the food somewhere else, whether it's an attractant. So I think that's one way I would handle that situation.
Nice.
I got a question that's kind of, I guess, a little bit different from the pest side, more the business side of it, right?
Sure.
And dads that, right? I guess two-tier question, right? Like dads that are maybe they're in the exterminating business, right? I think you said you had 5.5 years experience before you went out on your own, right?
Yep.
So like maybe there's some dads listening that, hey, they're working for somebody. It could be in exterminating, it could be in a different business. I guess what was that point where you said, hey, you know what, I'm going to go do this on my own? And then what was that transition of then owning your own business at that point and, going into the exterminating business?
Sure. For myself, I work.
What would you recommend to a dad that's listening? Hey, they're contemplating safety, going for it.
Yeah.
How long their experience, with your expertise now.
Sure. I don't think owning a business is for everybody. I really don't. As a business owner, the stuff that we deal with on a daily basis, hour by hour, and when you start growing to the thing where, and I'm not want to put anyone against owning their own business. I love it. I feel like I love the chaos. It's a lot of craziness with it, but there's just so much that goes with it, especially now that I'm 13 years in. I've seen a lot, I've done a lot. I've learned every single day. Like there's different surprises every day that I can tell you for days, just stuff that happens. But someone that is unhappy at their job, and if you have a skill or you're going to focus on growing yourself. I'm more of a risk taker. I was also at a time too. I was 27 when I started my business. I lost my last job. I blew my knee out. I had nothing, zero. I had no choice. I was literally renting an apartment. I literally met my future wife on online dating at the time. She's like, what are you going to do with yourself? I'm like, I guess I'll start a business. Like I had nothing, zero, but it's like I gambled on myself. 13 years later, it paid off. It's my wife now, as of 5 or 6 years, she runs the business. My cousin has been with me with the business for like 10, 11 years now. I asked him to quit his career, and he's been with me ever since. My wife's been with me, through all of since the beginning. Me working days, nights, weekends, not coming home, and us about to have a baby in a couple of months, asking her to quit her career because I need her to run the business. So I can actually have some time to focus on the business. It's business consumes every part of my life. It does, which makes it very tough. But at the end of the day, I love it. I love it to death, and I think anyone should. If you're thinking about it, just go for it. What's the worst that's going to happen? At the end of the day, you don't make it, who cares? Get up, try it again, go get a job, then go back, do what you're doing, and then try it again. Just go for it. But the thing is, everyone's situation is different. Everyone's financial is different. Everyone is the way they think about things. Some people want a steady paycheck. Like I didn't make anything for years. Like I'm just trying to figure it out and survive. I was in purely survival mode. But I was okay doing that when I was younger. I think it'd be different now if I had 2 kids that have to go to daycare. We got to make sure there's food on the table, make sure they got to be in the right place. I may not be in the position if I was in that position now, but if it ever opens up to you, I would highly recommend going for it. But it's not going to come easy, and you're going to have to sacrifice everything, all of your time, your friends. You're going to sacrifice to be successful in your own way. Is nothing but one sacrifice after the next. And that's all you're doing is sacrificing and gaining something else somewhere else. That's probably the best way I can summarize it. But I'm going to say go for it. But everyone's situation is different. And I went for it.
Yeah. Well, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. So,
yeah.
I was going to say, are you, 13 years down the road? I know we talked before, you're stupid busy. And have you at least kind of hit a balance where you're obviously at a comfortable spot with your business, I guess? I mean, I understand it's still chaotic, but
I would say, I guess Joe knows me a little too well. I feel like I'm one of those guys where I want it all, I just.
So you just keep pushing, even you're never going to be at that spot where you can just relax and kind of let the business.
I can talk on you. Like his business is very successful, but he still want more.
Yeah.
Right. There's different things that you can do to get to the next level of your business and your life. Right.
But it's not like the best way to put it. It's not like a materialistic thing at all. I just think it's more of it's success driven. You want to be at a certain point where, you know where you want to be. I know where I want to be, I'm not there. I'm there, but I'm not there yet. It's just, I love the fact that I've had someone on my team buy their first house from me starting from nothing. They bought their own house. I have another guy, he's getting married. They're going to buy a house soon too, at some point. They're going to raise a family off of something that I created from nothing, from losing my job, blowing my knee out, being able to help them. I offered a team 401ks. I know I'm helping into their retirement. I got a retirement plan through Joe. It's, I am helping these guys and these younger kids in life. And really, I remember myself as a young kid. Now it's I'm like the old guy now, at 40. And it's I love creating a future with these guys. I love creating the culture with them. And I just want to continue to grow and, really make this the foundation. It's nice to make, the business that I created. My wife is ran with it. She's phenomenal in the business, and she's, that we run the business together. And it's what we're achieving good things. We're helping people, we're helping ourselves. It's great. It really is, but it didn't come without a lot of sacrifice, and that could be kids not having full attention at times. It could be, with the wife, it's a lot, it's, you're not home a lot, you work a lot. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages, a lot of conversations, but always got to find time. That's the biggest thing. Always have to find a way to find time.
Nice. Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate you kind of giving the dads out there a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. I know a lot of people in the economy are kind of like that. They're fed up at their job and they want to venture out and do something else, but then they kind of look at the economy and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to gamble on this. But I'm glad it worked out for you, man. And it sounds like you got a good thing going. So I wish you all the future success you can handle, man. But we really appreciate you being on the show. I think you gave Dad some awesome insights into pest control, and this was a pretty sweet episode to be on. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. Check out the Facebook group, like and subscribe. We'll put Ryan's company profile and links and stuff down below in the video bio. So you guys in Long Island, you're only in Long Island, right? Yep, in the surrounding area. Yeah. So anybody out there in Long Island, hit up Ryan and give us guys a shot. But thank you for hanging out with us on Time to Dad, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.